Commander Zarakesh stood in the observation deck of Station Apex 7, her golden reptilian eyes scanning the training hall below. Her scales, a deep emerald green that marked her as a high-ranking Vrexian warrior, gleamed under the station's artificial lights. She crossed her muscular arms and let out a low hiss of displeasure. A human, she muttered to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Viren, who stood beside her. They are sending me a human liaison for the Kethra mission. Viren, a younger Viraxian with darker scales, tilted his head. The diplomatic species, Commander? Why would Command assign a human to a combat expedition? Zara's tail swished in annoyance. Protocol. The Galactic Council requires human approval for all missions near their protected zones. So they send us a babysitter. She spat the last word like a curse. Below them, the training hall buzzed with activity. Warriors from dozens of species practiced combat techniques, lifted massive weights, and tested their skills against training drones. Zara watched a Corvan soldier, built like a mountain of muscle and fur, throw a practice dummy across the room with ease. She nodded in approval. That was strength. That was what a warrior looked like, Viren said, pointing. That must be him. Zara followed his claw to a human male entering the training hall. He wore a standard military uniform, and his build was average by human standards. Brown hair, brown eyes, perhaps 6 feet tall. He moved with a calm, measured pace that Zara immediately recognized as caution. No, she corrected herself, not caution, weakness. Look at him, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. No natural armor, no claws, no enhanced strength. Humans are so fragile that their homeworld is classified as a garden planet. They break bones from simple falls. And this is what Command sends to help us survive Kethra 4? The human, whose file identified him as Marcus Chen, approached a training station. He began a simple warm-up routine, stretching and moving through basic exercises. Several larger aliens walked past him without a second glance. To them, and to everyone else in the galaxy, humans were the species you called when you needed someone to negotiate a treaty or file paperwork, not when you needed warriors. Zara had fought in 17 campaigns across 9 systems. She had earned her rank through blood and honor, through proving her strength against the strongest enemies the galaxy could offer. Her species, the Vrexians, were known throughout the Council as elite warriors. Their strength, speed, and combat instinct were legendary. And now she was being forced to carry dead weight on one of the most dangerous missions of her career. Commander Viren said carefully, "Perhaps the human has other skills. I have heard they are clever with technology." Clever. Zara turned to face him, her eyes blazing. "Viren, we are going to Kethra 4, a planet with gravity 40% higher than standard. A planet where the trees are so dense that our sensors barely work. A planet where titan beasts hunt in the darkness. Creatures that stand 30 feet tall and can tear through reinforced steel with their claws." She pointed down at Marcus, who was now jogging on a treadmill at a moderate pace. "What good is clever when something that massive is trying to eat you?" Viren said nothing. He knew better than to argue with his commander when she was in this mood. An hour later, Zara sat in the briefing room, waiting for the human to arrive. The mission parameters were clear. Escort a team of 3 scientists to the ancient ruins on Kethra 4. Protect them while they conducted their research, and bring everyone back alive. Simple enough, except for the planet's hostile environment and the fact that it was home to some of the most dangerous predators in the sector. The door slid open, and Marcus Chen entered. He moved to attention and gave a crisp salute. "Commander Zarakesh, Liaison Officer Marcus Chen reporting as ordered." Zara looked him up and down, making no effort to hide her disapproval. "Sit," she said flatly. Marcus took a seat across from her. His face remained neutral, professional. If he noticed her hostility, he did not show it. "Let me be clear, Officer Chen," Zara began, her voice cold. "I did not request a human liaison. I do not need a human liaison. You are here because protocol demands it. Nothing more. When we reach Kethra 4, you will remain with the scientists and stay out of the way. My warriors will handle any threats. Is that understood?" "Understood, Commander," Marcus replied calmly. "However, I should mention that I have wilderness survival training and combat experience. I can assist if needed. Zara's laugh was harsh and mocking. Combat experience? Human combat experience. She leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. I have seen what humans call combat. Hiding behind cover, firing weapons from a distance, relying on technology to do what your bodies cannot. That is not combat. That is cowardice. Marcus's expression did not change. I understand your concerns, Commander. I will do my best not to be a burden to your team. See that you don't, Zara said, dismissing him with a wave of her hand. We depart at dawn. Be ready. After Marcus left, Vurin entered the room. Commander, was that wise? Insulting a council liaison officer could create diplomatic problems. Zara stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. I do not care about diplomatic problems, Vurin. I care about bringing my warriors home alive. And I will not risk their lives to spare a human's feelings. She turned back to her second dynamand. Double-check all equipment. Make sure the medical supplies include extra supplies for treating human injuries. If the fragile liaison gets hurt, I want to be able to stabilize him quickly. Vera nodded and left to carry out his orders. Alone in the briefing room, Zara pulled up the mission files on her datapad. The images of Kethra IV showed a world of towering jungles, violent storms, and shadows deep enough to hide nightmares. And somewhere in those shadows lived the Titan beasts, apex predators that had killed dozens of explorers over the years. She thought about Marcus Chen. With his average build and his calm, unthreatening demeanor, how long would he last on a planet like that? A day? Hours? She made a mental note to assign one of her warriors to watch him at all times. The human might be useless, but she would not let him die on her watch. That would look bad in her service record. Zara saved the files and headed to her quarters to rest before the mission. Tomorrow, they would enter hell, and she would have to keep a weak human alive while doing it. The thought made her tail lash in frustration one more time before she forced herself to calm down. She was a professional. She would complete this mission successfully. Human babysitting included, but she did not have to like it. Part 2. Into the wilderness, the shuttle descended through Kethra IV's atmosphere like a stone dropping into dark water. Rain hammered against the hull and lightning split the purple-gray clouds around them. Zara sat in the pilot's seat, her claws gripping the controls with practiced ease as she navigated through the storm. Behind her, the rest of the team secured their gear. 6 Varixian warriors, including Viren, 3 scientists, a Lothian researcher with 4 arms, floating Nexari that communicated through light pulses, and a small insect like krill who specialized in ancient languages. And of course, Marcus Chen, sitting quietly in the back, checking his equipment with methodical precision. Approaching landing zone, Zara announced. Brace for high gravity. The shuttle broke through the cloud layer, revealing the dense jungle below. Trees rose hundreds of feet into the air, their thick canopies blocking most of the dim light from Kethra's distant sun. Zara brought the shuttle down in a small clearing near the ruins, the landing gear groaning under the increased gravity. As the ramp lowered, Zara felt the weight settle onto her shoulders. 1.4 times standard gravity. Uncomfortable, but manageable for a Vrexian warrior. She glanced back at Marcus, expecting to see him struggling. But the human simply stood, shouldered his pack, and walked down the ramp with steady steps. Interesting, Zara thought, but pushed it from her mind. Humans probably had gravity enhancement suits built into their armor. The jungle hit them like a wall. Heat, humidity, and the smell of rot and growth mixed together in an overwhelming assault on the senses. Strange calls and screams echoed from the darkness between the trees. Zara's warriors activated their scanning equipment and formed a defensive perimeter. The ruins are 2 kilometers northeast, the Lothian scientist, Dr. Velmuth said, consulting her handheld device. We should reach them before nightfall if we move quickly. Move carefully, Zara corrected. Speed means nothing if we walk into an ambush. She assigned positions. Vorin at point, 2 warriors on each flank, 1 at rear guard. The scientist stayed in the middle of the formation. And Marcus? She placed him right behind her, where she could keep an eye on him. Stay close, human, she said. If you fall behind, we are not coming back for you. Understood. Commander Marcus replied, his voice as calm as ever. They moved into the jungle. Within the first hour, Zara was forced to admit that the human was keeping pace better than expected. The high gravity did not seem to bother him. He moved through the undergrowth without complaint, his breathing steady despite the thick, humid air. Vern's voice crackled through the calm. 50 meters ahead, serpent-class predator. Zara moved forward and saw it, a snake-like creature as thick as her waist, coiled around a tree branch. Its scales shimmered with toxic colors, and its fangs dripped with venom. As she raised her plasma rifle, a hand touched her arm. Marcus stood beside her, studying the creature. Wait, he said quietly. It is not aggressive. See how it is coiled? That is a resting position. If we move around it slowly, we can avoid a fight. Zara wanted to ignore him, to blast the creature and prove that Rexian strength was superior to human caution. But she was a professional. If they could conserve ammunition and avoid injuries, that was tactically sound. We go around, she ordered. They circled the creature, which watched them with cold eyes but did not attack. Once they were past, Viren approached her. The human was right, he said, sounding surprised. Even a broken clock is correct twice a day, Zara replied. But there was less venom in her voice than before. As they continued, Marcus proved useful in other small ways. He pointed out which plants were safe to touch and which would cause painful rashes. He identified water sources by the sound of insects nearby. He suggested a route that avoided thick mud and saved them time. "You have training in wilderness survival," Zara said during a brief rest. It was not a question. "Yes, Commander," Marcus replied, drinking from his canteen. "Standard training for all human liaison officers, HM." Zara studied him more carefully. He was not breathing hard, despite hours of hiking through difficult terrain and high gravity. There was no sweat on his forehead, no trembling in his muscles. Either his equipment was very good or ... She dismissed the thought. Humans were weak. Everyone knew that. A few survival tricks did not change biology. By late afternoon, they reached the ruins. Ancient stone structures rose from the jungle floor, covered in vines and moss. Strange symbols covered the walls, and the krill scientist immediately began photographing and analyzing them. "Fascinating," Dr. Kickstar chittered, her translator device rendering her clicks into galactic standard. "These writings predate the Galactic Council by thousands of years. This discovery could rewrite our understanding of ancient civilizations." "How long do you need?" Zara asked. 2 days minimum, Dr. Velmuth replied. "Perhaps 3. Zara did not like that. The mission plan called for 1 day at the ruins, then immediate extraction. But she understood the value of scientific discovery. "We will give you 2 days. After that, we leave whether you are finished or not." As her warriors set up camp, Zara noticed Marcus walking the perimeter, studying the jungle with focused attention. She followed him, curious. "What are you looking for?" she asked. Marcus pointed at the ground.
X.
Large ones. He crouched down, running his fingers over deep impressions in the mud. 3 toes, each claw as long as my forearm. Weight distribution suggests a bipedal creature, extremely heavy. Zara felt her scales prickle. "How old are these tracks?" "Less than a day." Marcus stood and looked into the jungle. "Something big has been here recently." "The wildlife is always active on this planet," Zara said, but she activated her cum. "Vern, double the watch rotation tonight. Something large is in the area." As darkness fell, the jungle came alive with sounds. Howls, roars, and screams echoed from every direction. Zara sat by the fire, cleaning her plasma rifle. While Marcus took first watch on the perimeter, the young Virexian warrior Kesra approached the fire. She was the newest member of Zara's squad, still proving herself. Commander Kesra said the human shared his rations with me earlier. He said I looked tired and could use the extra calories. Zara looked up. "Did he?" "Yes, Commander." It was ... kind. Kesra seemed confused by her own words, as if kindness from a human was unexpected. Before Zara could respond, A sound rolled across the jungle. It was deep, resonating, powerful enough to shake the ground beneath them. It was the sound of something massive announcing its presence. All conversations stopped. The scientists looked up from their work, fear clear in their expressions. Zara's warriors grabbed their weapons. Marcus appeared from the darkness at the camp's edge. His face was calm, but something in his eyes had changed. They were sharper now, more focused. "Commander," he said quietly, "that was a Titan beast, and it is closer than it should be." Another roar answered the first. This one from a different direction. "How many?" Zara demanded. Marcus listened to the jungle, his head tilted slightly. "At least 2. Possibly more." Zara stood, her mind racing through tactical options. Titan beasts were apex predators, nearly impossible to kill with conventional weapons. Their scales were thick enough to deflect plasma fire, and their size and strength made them nearly unstoppable. "We secure the perimeter," she ordered. "No one leaves the camp. If a Titan beast approaches, we use the heavy weapons." Her warriors moved to defensive positions, but Zara noticed Marcus had not moved. He stood at the camp's edge, looking into the darkness, his posture completely still. "Chen," she said, "did you hear my order?" "Yes, Commander." But Marcus did not move. He continued to stare into the jungle. "What is it?" Zara walked over to stand beside him. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice so soft that only Zara could hear. "That sound, the way they are calling to each other." He paused. "They are not just in the area, Commander. They are hunting, and I think they have found us," as if to confirm his words. Another roar split the night. This one was much, much closer, and somewhere in the darkness beyond the firelight, something massive began to move through the jungle toward them. Part 3. The hunt begins. Dawn broke over Kethra 4 with pale, gray light filtering through the jungle canopy. Zara had not slept. None of them had. The Titan beasts had circled the camp all night, their roars echoing through the darkness, but they had not attacked. That worried her more than an actual assault would have. "They are testing us," Marcus said, appearing at her side as she studied the perimeter. "Learning our patterns, our numbers." Zara glanced at him. The human looked tired, but alert. His eyes swept the jungle with the same focused intensity she had noticed the night before. "How do you know?" "Because that is what intelligent predators do." Marcus pointed to fresh tracks just beyond their defensive line. "See how they approached from multiple angles?" They were coordinating. "These creatures are not mindless beasts," Zara hissed softly. She had fought many enemies, but intelligent predators were the most dangerous. They learned, adapted, and planned. Dr. Velmuth approached, her 4 arms clutching various instruments. "Commander, we have made incredible progress, but we need more time. Another full day at least." "Impossible," Zara said flatly. "We are evacuating within 2 hours." "But Commander, Doctor, there are multiple Titan beasts circling this camp. Every moment we stay, the danger increases. We leave now." As the scientists reluctantly began packing their equipment, Viren approached with a grim expression. "Commander, I sent a scout drone into the jungle to map our exit route. It was destroyed 1 kilometer out. Something swatted it from the air." Zara's tail lashed in frustration. "Show me the last footage." Viren played the recording on his datapad. The drone's camera showed dense jungle. Then suddenly a massive shape rose from the undergrowth. The image blurred as something struck the drone, but not before Zara saw it. Scales like armor plating, claws the size of swords, and a head filled with teeth designed to crush and tear. 30 feet tall, Marcus said, watching over her shoulder. "Maybe more." "That one is fully grown? You have seen Titan beasts before?" Zara asked. "In recordings and briefings, but never in person." Marcus met her eyes. "Commander, if there is a full-grown adult this close to camp, we have a problem. They are territorial. It should have attacked already or driven us away." "Then why hasn't it?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Because it is not alone. They are pack hunting." The word sent ice through Zara's veins. Titan beasts were solitary creatures, except during mating season. If they were working together, the situation was far worse than she thought. New plan, Zara said, her mind racing. We need to scout the direct path back to the shuttle. If it is clear, we move fast and hard. If not, we find another route. I will go, Marcus said. Absolutely not. I will send 2 of my warriors with respect, Commander. Your warriors are excellent soldiers. But I have training in stealth reconnaissance. I can move quietly, assess the threat, and return without being detected. Zara wanted to refuse. Every instinct told her that sending the human into a jungle filled with Titan beasts was suicide. But she looked at his face and saw something that surprised her. Confidence. Not arrogance or bravado, but quiet, certain confidence. You have 1 hour, she said finally. If you are not back, we assume you are dead and proceed without you. Understood? Marcus checked his equipment, a small blade, a communicator, and a compact survival pack. No weapons. Zara wanted to protest, but he was already moving toward the jungle. Chen, she called. Do not do anything heroic. Scout only. If you see a Titan beast, you hide or run. Clear. Marcus nodded and disappeared into the undergrowth. Zara turned to Viren. I am going to follow him, Commander. If the human gets killed because I made a bad tactical decision, it will look bad in my report. I will shadow him, keep him alive if things go wrong. It was a lie, and Viren probably knew it. But her second-in-command simply nodded. Be careful, Commander. Zara moved into the jungle, following Marcus's path. She expected to have difficulty tracking him, but his trail was clear. Broken branches, disturbed leaves, footprints in the soft earth. For someone claiming to be trained in stealth, he was leaving an obvious path. Then Zara realized something that made her freeze. The trail was too obvious. Intentionally obvious. Marcus was leaving it for her to follow. Oh. Which meant he knew she was behind him. She moved more carefully now, her respect for the human increasing slightly. After 10 minutes, she spotted him ahead, moving through the jungle with surprising grace. His steps were placed carefully, avoiding dry twigs and rustling leaves. His breathing was controlled, and most importantly, he was not looking where he was going. He was looking at everything around him, reading the jungle like a language. Zara watched as Marcus stopped near a massive tree. He crouched down, examining something on the ground. Then he stood very still, his head tilted slightly, listening. That was when Zara saw it. Through the trees, massive and terrible, a Titan beast moved. It was even larger than the recordings had shown, its body covered in thick, overlapping scales that looked like natural armor. Each step shook the ground. Its head swung back and forth, nostrils flaring as it scented the air. Marcus was directly in its path. Zara raised her plasma rifle, preparing to fire and draw the creature's attention. But Marcus did not run. He did not make a sound. He simply watched the Titan beast, his body completely motionless. As the massive predator walked past him less than 20 meters away, the creature paused, its head turning toward Marcus's position. Zara's finger tightened on the trigger. If it attacked, she would have seconds to save him. But Marcus still did not move. He stood like a statue, barely breathing as the Titan beast sniffed the air. Then, with a low rumble that was not quite a roar, the creature continued on its path and disappeared into the jungle. Only after it was gone did Marcus move. He let out a slow breath and continued his reconnaissance. Zara followed, her mind reeling. The human had been within striking distance of a Titan beast and had not panicked. More than that, he had read the creature's body language, understood when to stay still, and survived an encounter that would have killed most experienced hunters. Marcus continued for another kilometer, finding and documenting 2 more Titan beasts in the area. Then he turned back to Ward Camp, following a different route. That was when everything went wrong. The Titan beast appeared without warning, bursting from the undergrowth with terrifying speed. It must have been following Marcus's scent, waiting for the right moment to strike. It was smaller than the others, younger, but still massive and deadly. Marcus rolled to the side as the creature's claws tore through the space. Where he had been standing, trees splintered. The ground erupted. Zara raised her rifle, but Marcus was too close to the beast. She could not get a clean shot. The Titan beast roared and lunged again. Marcus dodged, but not fast enough. One claw caught his shoulder, tearing through his armor and drawing blood. He stumbled and fell. The creature loomed over him, jaws opening to deliver the killing bite. Zara screamed and fired, her plasma bolt striking the Titan beast's flank. It did nothing except anger the creature, which turned its massive head toward her. But that moment of distraction was all Marcus needed. He grabbed a fallen tree branch, thick as Zara's torso, and snapped it in half with his bare hands. Zara's rifle lowered slightly in shock. That branch was hardwood, dense and heavy. It should have been impossible for a human to break it like that. Marcus surged to his feet, the makeshift weapon in his hands, and faced the Titan beast. No fear showed on his face. Only focus, calculation, and something else that Zara could not identify. The Titan beast charged. Marcus charged to meet it. The two collided with a sound like thunder, and the hunt truly began. Part 4. The strength of humanity. The pact between Marcus and the Titan beast shook the jungle floor. Zara watched in frozen disbelief as the human ducked under the creature's snapping jaws and drove the broken branch into its shoulder joint, where the armored scales met softer tissue. The beast screamed and thrashed, throwing Marcus backward into a tree. The tree cracked from the impact. Marcus fell to the ground, blood streaming from the wound on his shoulder and new cuts across his face. Zara was certain he was done, that the next attack would kill him. But Marcus stood up. He stood up, and he did not look afraid. His eyes were locked on the Titan beast with an intensity that Zara had never seen in a human before. It was the look of a predator, not prey. The Titan beast pulled the branch from its shoulder and roared, a sound that vibrated through Zara's chest. It charged again, all 30 feet and several tons of muscle and rage. Focused on crushing the small creature that had dared to hurt it, Marcus did not run. He moved forward, timing his step perfectly, and at the last second dropped and slid under the creature's body. As he passed beneath it, he grabbed one of its legs and twisted with all his strength. Something cracked. The Titan beast stumbled, its leg buckling, and crashed into the ground. Before it could recover, Marcus was on its back, his fingers finding the gaps between scales. "Impossible," Zara whispered. She had seen Vrexian warriors try to fight Titan beasts in close combat. They died. Always. The strength difference was too great, the scales too thick, the creatures too powerful. Yet here was a human, a supposedly weak human, grappling with one of the galaxy's most dangerous predators. The fight became brutal. The Titan beast rolled, trying to crush Marcus. He leaped clear, landed in a crouch, and immediately moved back in when the creature exposed its flank. His movements were precise, calculated, exploiting every opening. But the beast was learning too. It snapped sideways, catching Marcus with its tail and sending him flying into the undergrowth. Zara heard branches breaking, then silence. The Titan beast advanced toward where Marcus had landed, moving carefully now. Respecting its opponent despite the size difference, Zara's combat instincts overrode her shock. She moved forward, placing herself between the Titan beast and Marcus's position, her plasma rifle raised. "Come on then," she snarled in Vrexian battle language. "Face someone your own size." The creature's head swung toward her, eyes narrowing. It took one step forward. Then Marcus emerged from the undergrowth. He was covered in blood, his armor torn in multiple places, but his eyes were clear and focused. In his hands he carried a rock the size of Zara's head. He had torn it from the ground, roots still dangling from its surface. "Commander," Marcus said, his voice calm despite his ragged breathing. "Move aside, please." Zara stared at him. "Chen, you cannot move aside." Something in his tone made Zara step to the side. It was not a request. It was not even an order. It was a statement of fact, delivered with absolute certainty. The Titan beast roared and charged at Marcus. One final time, Marcus threw the rock, His arm blurred with speed, and the massive stone flew through the air like a missile. It struck the Titan beast directly in the face, shattering teeth and bone. The creature's charge faltered, its head snapping to the side from the impact. Marcus ran forward, closing the distance before the beast could recover. He leaped higher than any human should be able to jump, caught the creature's lower jaw with both hands. For a moment, nothing happened. The Titan beast and the human were locked in a contest of pure strength. Then, with a sound that would haunt Zara's dreams, Marcus began to pull the creature's jaws apart. The Titan beast thrashed wildly, trying to shake him off, but Marcus held on with impossible strength. His muscles strained, his face twisted with effort, but he did not let go. Wider and wider, he forced the jaws past the point where they should open, past the breaking point. The Titan beast's scream became a wet, choking sound as its jaw dislocated, then tore completely. Marcus released his grip and dropped to the ground as the massive creature collapsed beside him. Twitching and dying, silence fell over the jungle. Marcus stood over the dead Titan beast, breathing hard, covered in blood. He looked at his hands as if surprised by what they had done, then looked up at Zara. Zara could not move, could not speak. Her entire understanding of the universe had just been shattered. Humans were weak. Everyone knew that. It was a fundamental truth, like gravity or the speed of light. Except, it was a lie. Marcus walked toward her, and Zara found herself taking an involuntary step backward. The human noticed and stopped, raising his hands in a peaceful gesture. "Commander," he said gently, "we should return to camp. Where there is one juvenile Titan beast, the adults may be nearby. What are you?" Zara's voice came out as a harsh whisper. Marcus was quiet for a moment, then sighed. "Human. Just human." "Humans are not." Zara gestured at the dead Titan beast. "They cannot do that." "With respect, Commander, yes we can. Most species just never see it because we do not usually need to show it." Zara's mind raced. "Your homeworld Earth. It is classified as a garden world, a safe and easy planet. By whose standards?" Marcus asked. "Commander, Earth has gravity slightly higher than galactic standard. Our atmosphere has higher oxygen content, which allows for more efficient energy use. Our planet has extreme temperature variations, active tectonic plates, and predators that evolved alongside us for millions of years." He paused. "We are not weak. We are just peaceful by choice." "You evolved on a death world," Zara said, the pieces clicking into place. "We evolved on Earth," Marcus corrected. "Whether you call it a death world or not is perspective. To us, it was just home. We adapted. Our bones became dense to handle impacts. Our muscles became efficient at sustained effort. Our pain tolerance increased because injuries were common, and we learned to be persistent because on Earth, the prey that gives up dies." Zara thought about every human she had ever dismissed, every liaison officer and diplomat she had considered weak and unthreatening. How many of them were like Marcus, hiding terrifying capabilities behind a peaceful exterior? "Why?" she asked. "Why hide what you are?" Marcus smiled sadly. "Because the galaxy is afraid of warriors, Commander. When we first joined the Galactic Council, we were honest about our capabilities. Other species saw us as a threat. There were sanctions, restrictions, fear, so we adapted again. We became diplomats and liaisons instead of soldiers. We proved we could be trusted. And now most species think we are harmless. That is," Zara searched for words, "strategic. It is survival," Marcus said simply. "We do not want to be feared. We want to be part of the galactic community. So we show our strength only when absolutely necessary." He looked at the dead Titan beast. Like now. A roar echoed through the jungle, much larger and deeper than the juveniles had been. Multiple roars answered it from different directions. "The adults heard the fight," Marcus said, his tone becoming urgent. "We need to move now." Zara's training kicked in, overriding her shock. "Can you run?" "Yes, Commander." They ran through the jungle, heading back toward camp. Zara's mind was still reeling, but her body moved on autopilot, following the path they had taken. Behind them, the sounds of massive creatures crashing through the undergrowth grew louder. Marcus Era said as they ran, "When we get back to camp." "I know," he interrupted. "We do not have enough firepower to fight multiple adult Titan beasts. We need to evacuate immediately, and you can fight." "If I have to?" Marcus vaulted over a fallen log without breaking stride. "But I would prefer not to. Fighting one juvenile nearly killed me. Adults are much, much worse." They burst into the camp clearing, and Zara immediately began shouting orders. "Everyone on the shuttle now? No arguments. No delays." Viren ran up to her, his eyes widening when he saw Marcus's condition. "Commander, what happened?" "Later. Get everyone aboard the shuttle and prep for immediate takeoff." As the team scrambled to board, weapons fire erupted from the jungle's edge. 3 of Zara's warriors were holding the perimeter as smaller predators, drawn by the blood and chaos, began attacking the camp. "Go." Zara ordered the scientists. "Marcus, get on the shuttle." But Marcus was looking at the besieged warriors, at young Kesra, struggling to reload her weapon as a pack of raptor-like creatures closed in on her position. "Commander," he said, and before Zara could stop him, Marcus ran toward the fight, not away from danger, toward it, because that was what humans did. Part 5. Respect earned Marcus hit. The pack of predators like a meteor striking the ground. The creatures were called Razorbacks, 6-legged hunters with blade-like spines and vicious claws. A pack of 8 surrounded Kesra, who was backed against a tree. Her weapon jammed. The human grabbed the nearest Razorback by its spine, ignoring the cuts that immediately opened on his palms, and threw it into 2 others. The creatures shrieked and scattered, their pack coordination broken by the sudden, violent assault. Zara's warriors paused in shock. They had been fighting desperately, using their weapons and strength to hold back the predators. And here was the human they had dismissed as weak, physically throwing the creatures around like toys. "Focus." Zara's voice cut through their surprise. Covering fire. Her warriors opened up with their weapons. And the combination of plasma fire and Marcus's brutal physical attacks broke the pack's resolve. The surviving Razorbacks retreated into the jungle. Marcus helped Kesra to her feet. The young Vrexian stared at him with wide eyes. "You saved me." "We protect each other," Marcus said simply, checking her for injuries. "That is what a team does." "Can you walk?" Kesra nodded, unable to form words. "Everyone to the shuttle," Zara commanded. "Move." The team ran for the ship. Zara did a quick head count as they boarded. All 6 warriors present. All 3 scientists accounted for, and Marcus bleeding from a dozen wounds, but still moving. Behind them, the jungle erupted with roars as the adult Titan beasts closed in on the camp. "Get us in the air," Zara shouted to the pilot as she hit the ramp control. The shuttle's engines screamed to life, lifting them off the ground just as a massive shape burst from the tree line. An adult Titan beast, easily twice the size of the juvenile Marcus had killed, lunged at the rising shuttle. Its claws scraped against the hull, leaving deep gouges. But the ship climbed beyond its reach. Through the viewport, Zara watched 3 more Titan beasts emerge into the clearing. They roared at the escaping shuttle, a sound of fury and frustration. "We are clear," the pilot reported. "Breaking atmosphere in 2 minutes?" Zara sagged against the wall, the adrenaline finally leaving her system. Around her, the team was doing the same. The scientists clutched their salvaged data with shaking hands. The warriors checked their equipment with mechanical precision, falling back on routine to process what they had experienced. And Marcus sat in the corner, using a medical kit to treat his wounds. His hands were steady as he sealed cuts and applied bandages. Showing no sign of the pain he must be feeling, Vern approached Zara quietly. "Commander, I saw what he did." "The human." "I saw him throw those predators like they weighed nothing." "What is he?" "A human," Zara said softly. "Just a human. And that is what terrifies me." The flight back to Station Apex 7 took 6 hours. During that time, Zara wrote her report. It was the hardest report she had ever written because it required her to admit that everything she believed about humans was wrong. She documented Marcus's actions, his survival skills in the jungle, his ability to track and evade Titan beasts, his fight with the juvenile, and his final assault on the Razorback pack. She described his strength, his endurance, and his tactical thinking, and she recommended that the Galactic Council reclassify humans in combat assessments. When she finished, she looked at Marcus, who was resting with his eyes closed. Even in rest, there was a readiness about him, a coiled tension that suggested he could spring into action at any moment. "Officer Chen," Zara called. Marcus opened his eyes and stood, moving to attention despite his injuries. "Commander, why did you save Kesra? You could have reached the shuttle safely." Marcus looked confused by the question. "She was in danger. I could help. Why would I not? Because you could have died? So could she." Marcus shrugged. "We were a team. Teams do not leave members behind." Zara studied him. This human who had killed a Titan beast with his bare hands and then risked his life to save a warrior from a species that had treated him with nothing but contempt. "I owe you an apology," Zara said formally. "I judged you and your species unfairly. I treated you with disrespect and dismissed your capabilities. That was wrong, and I am sorry." Marcus smiled slightly. "Apology accepted, Commander. To be fair, I am used to it. Most species make the same assumptions." "That is by design, is it not?" Zara asked. "You let us underestimate you. We prefer cooperation to conflict," Marcus said carefully. "If other species see us as non-threatening, they are more willing to work with us. It makes diplomacy easier. But you are warriors. Dangerous warriors, when we need to be." Marcus met her eyes. "But we would rather not be. There is no honor in fighting unless there is something worth fighting for. Peace is worth more than proving our strength." Zara thought about that for a long moment. In Vrexian culture, strength was honor. You proved your worth through combat, through demonstrating physical superiority. But Marcus was suggesting something different, that choosing not to fight when you could was its own form of strength. "Your people are wise," Zara said finally. "Frighteningly so." "We have had a long time to learn," Marcus replied. The shuttle docked at Station Apex 7, and the team disembarked. Zara filed her report immediately, then went to the medical bay to ensure all her warriors were properly treated. Kesra was there being checked by the medical staff. "Commander," Kesra said when she saw Zara, "may I speak freely? Of course, I was wrong about the human. We were all wrong. He is a true warrior, perhaps the truest I have met. He fights not for glory or honor, but to protect others. That is," she struggled with the words, "that is better than what we do." Zara placed a hand on her shoulder. "Use this lesson, Kesra. Never judge a species by appearance alone, and never underestimate those who choose peace over war. They may be the most dangerous of all." 2 days later, Zara stood in the training hall observation deck again, watching Marcus work through a practice routine. Word of what had happened on Kethra 4 had spread, and other warriors now watched the human with wary respect rather than dismissal. A Corvan commander approached Zara, the same one who had been impressed by his species' strength before. "Is it true?" he asked. "Did that human really kill a Titan beast unarmed?" "I watched him do it," Zara confirmed. "Possible. Humans are weak. Everyone knows everyone is wrong," Zara interrupted. "That human is stronger than most warriors I have served with. And more importantly, he is smarter. He knows when to hide his strength and when to use it. That makes him more dangerous than any of us." The Corvan stared at Marcus, re-evaluating. "Should we be worried? If humans are that powerful," Zara said firmly, "we should be grateful. Humans could have come to the Galactic Council as conquerors. Instead, they came as diplomats. They choose peace, even when they have the strength to choose war. That is not weakness. That is wisdom we should all learn from." Down in the training hall, Marcus finished his routine and looked up, catching Zara's eye. He gave a small nod, which she returned. Later that day, Zara received a message from Galactic Council Command. Her report had been reviewed, and several changes were being implemented. Human liaison officers would no longer be classified as non-combatants. Human physical capabilities were being reassessed. And most importantly, Zara had been authorized to request Marcus Chen for all future joint operations. She sent a message to Marcus, "If you are available, I would be honored to work with you again. I have learned that the strongest warriors are those who fight only when necessary. You have my respect and my gratitude." Marcus's response came quickly. "I would be happy to serve with you again, Commander. Thank you for giving me a chance to prove that humans can be more than what they seem." Zara smiled, then pulled up the training hall footage again. This time, she watched Marcus with new eyes. She saw the controlled power in every movement, the deliberate care he took to appear less threatening than he was, and the constant awareness of his surroundings that marked a true predator. The galaxy had thought humans were weak. Zara had thought humans were weak, but now she understood the truth. Humans were not weak. They were patient, strategic, and powerful. They had simply chosen to let everyone else underestimate them, and that, Zara realized, was the most human thing of all. They had turned their greatest weakness, their unassuming appearance, into their greatest advantage. They had made the entire galaxy see them as harmless, while hiding the truth that they came from a world that had forged them into some of the most capable survivors in the universe. Zara made a note in her personal log. Never underestimate humans. They are not weak. They are kind. There is a difference, and that difference may be the most important lesson I have ever learned. She thought about Marcus tearing the Titan beast's jaw apart, then immediately helping Kesra to her feet and checking if she could walk. Strength and compassion, power and peace, violence and kindness, all existing in the same being. That was humanity, and the galaxy was lucky. They chose to be friends rather than enemies.